Parents gave my twin brother their life savings for his business while I had to take student loans. But now he is in prison for fraud and my parents demanded I pay his legal fees with the money from my boring job they once mocked. So, my brother has just been arrested, but I'm on Reddit today for some advice regarding my family drama. To start with, my family has always been a mess when it comes to money and responsibility. For as long as I can remember, they've been obsessed with quick money, get-rich-fast schemes, shortcuts, risky investments, you name it. They've never really believed in slow and steady progress. Instead, it's always been about those so-called big opportunities, the ones that promise fast money and an easy way out. They've always believed that with just the right move, everything could suddenly change and we'd be living this dream life without struggle. But things have never worked out that way. When I was just a kid, my dad put everything he had, all his savings, every dollar into a business deal with someone he called a friend. He truly believed it was going to change everything for us. He told us that this business would make him millions one day and that he could finally stop working and just enjoy life. He was really hopeful. And I think he wanted to believe so badly that this was his big break. But what he didn't realize was that this friend was in serious trouble. The business wasn't doing well at all. In fact, it was falling apart. There weren't any profits, just a growing mountain of debt. So instead of getting anything back, my dad lost everything. By the time my dad started to notice that something wasn't right, it was already too late. His friend, the same person he trusted with his hard-earned money, decided to pack up and leave the country. Just like that, he disappeared, running away from all the debt he had piled up, leaving my dad behind to deal with the mess. It was like a bad dream. My dad lost all the money he had worked for, saved, and poured into that business. Years and years of hard work, sacrifice, and hope just vanished in an instant. My parents were both completely devastated. They had believed in this opportunity, believed in that friend, and believed things were finally going to get better for us. But instead, it all fell apart. After that, things were really hard for our family. My dad had to start over from scratch. No savings, no backup plan, just the pressure of having to rebuild his life and support a family at the same time. You'd think that after everything my dad went through, losing all his savings, being betrayed by someone he trusted, watching our family struggle, that he and my mom would become more cautious, maybe a little more skeptical when it came to money or business deals. But somehow they never really learned. It's like they were stuck in this mindset where they kept believing the next big thing was right around the corner and that all it would take was one lucky break to finally make it. Over the years, my mom has thrown herself into one business idea after another. Most of them were the kind of get-rich-quick schemes you see online or hear about from someone trying to sell you something. A lot of it was pyramid-style stuff, the kind where you buy products in bulk and then try to get your friends and family to buy from you or sign up under you. She always started off hopeful, really believing this time would be different. But no matter how hard she tried, the same pattern repeated. The businesses would fall apart, people would stop buying, and we'd be back at square one. It hurt to watch her go through that disappointment over and over again. And my dad never seemed to change his approach, either. He still looked at every new opportunity that his friends would bring him with the same kind of blind trust and hope, like the past didn't even happen. It was frustrating, honestly. And even when I was just a kid, I could sense that something wasn't right when it came to the way my parents handled their money. Although I didn't fully understand it back then, I still knew they weren't making the best choices. And deep down, I knew I didn't want to end up like that. I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes. I wanted something more stable, something I could be proud of. So, I focused on the one thing I could control, school. I worked hard, stayed out of trouble, and gave my best to my studies. I kept pushing myself because I believed it could lead me to a better future. When it came time to apply for college, all that hard work finally started to pay off. I was so proud when I found out I had earned a partial scholarship at my college. It wasn't everything, but it was something. I truly believed my parents would be proud, too, and I thought they would be willing to help me cover the rest of the expenses so I could actually go. But what happened next really shocked me. Instead of being happy or excited for me, my parents seemed disappointed that I wanted to study computer science. Like me going to college was somehow a bad decision. There wasn't any celebration or even a simple "we're proud of you." It was more like I had let them down for choosing a different path, one that didn't involve chasing quick money or risky ideas. My parents told me they thought computer science was a boring choice. Their exact words were that millions of students already do that, and they didn't see how I'd ever stand out by going down such a common path. Instead, they tried to convince me to either not go to college at all or, if I did want to pursue a higher degree, then I should study something like business management. They said that was more exciting, more prestigious, and more in line with their idea of success. My dad told me he wanted me to run a business, and he wanted me to become a leader, someone who could run things, make money, build an empire. But here's the thing, that was never my dream. That sounded more like his dream. He had always wanted to do that, but not me. I never wanted to be part of the business world. It's not that I think there's anything wrong with it. I know a lot of people thrive on it. But it just wasn't me. I never felt connected to it. And after everything I saw growing up, My parents' failed businesses and investments, the fake promises from their business partners and friends, the constant stress over money. I knew deep in my heart, I didn't want that kind of stress in my life. All I wanted was a stable job, and that's it. Still, my parents didn't get it when I pointed this out to them. They said that computer science felt too traditional to them, like it didn't carry any excitement or flair. I guess they were still chasing that same idea of being unique or doing something flashy, something that looked impressive in front of others, even if it wasn't right for me. It felt like they were trying to make me accommodate what they wanted rather than actually listening to what I wanted. What made everything even harder was around the same time I was preparing for college. My twin brother had just graduated high school, too. Unlike me, though, he had always struggled with school. Academics were never really his strong point, and he didn't manage to get into a good college or honestly any college at all at that point. This is why he decided he was going to start a business. Just like that, no real plan, no experience, no backup, just a vague business idea that he believed was going to work. When I heard about it, I pointed out how risky and unrealistic it sounded, especially without a college degree or even any kind of formal training. I wasn't trying to put him down. I was just trying to be practical. But instead of listening, he doubled down. And so did my parents. They kept saying that my brother was making the right decision and that he was brave for taking the road less traveled. It felt like they were seeing his choice through some romantic lens, like it was bold and visionary, when to me it looked more like history repeating itself. My brother clearly wanted to be like my parents. But the part that truly broke me was when my parents decided that instead of helping me with the rest of my college tuition, like I had hoped, they wanted to invest their remaining retirement savings, whatever little they had, into my brother's business idea. I was stunned. I couldn't believe that after everything I had done, all the hard work in school, getting the scholarship, planning my future step by step, they couldn't care enough to help me out. They still saw his path as the better one. When I tried to argue with them and tell them how incredibly unfair it was, they flat out told me that they could think about helping me if and only if I changed my degree. Otherwise, I was on my own. They also justified that between the two of us, they believed my brother's choice was the better investment. Anyways, those words cut deep. It felt like no matter what happened, they still clung to the dream of fast success and risky ventures. At the time, I was really upset with my family. On one hand, I truly wanted my brother to succeed. He was my twin. We'd grown up side by side and shared everything. And despite all my frustration, I didn't want to see him fail. I didn't want his business to crash and burn one day or for him to end up disappointed the way my dad had years ago. But on the other hand, I was devastated that he was the only one receiving financial help and not me. I felt completely overlooked and abandoned by my parents. I had done everything right, studied hard, earned a scholarship, tried to build a future that wasn't based on risky dreams, and still they chose not to support me. In the end, I was left to figure things out on my own. I had no choice but to take out a student loan. It was the only way I could even think about going to college. That whole experience changed how I saw my parents. Up until then, I'd always made excuses for them or tried to see their choices as misguided but well-meaning. But after that, I lost all respect for them. Over the years, I have quietly watched my parents continue to support my brother both emotionally and financially. Even though his business never really took off, it was never profitable. He would always give promises like he needed some time or he's just going through a rough patch. But the reality was his business just wasn't working out. Still, they foolishly kept believing in him. Even after he drained their entire retirement fund, they didn't pull back. Instead, they let him convince them to take out a mortgage on their house. The home they had lived in for decades, the home that had been passed down through generations, just to pour even more money into his failing venture. My parents' favoritism towards my brother didn't just stop with money. It showed in 1,000 other ways. Like when my brother brought his girlfriend home to meet the family, my mom was so happy that my brother seemed to want to settle down. She offered him her grandmother's ring, no questions asked. This was a family heirloom, and she decided to just give it away to my brother so that he could use the ring to propose to his girlfriend one day. She just wanted him to have it ahead of time. Just to be clear, Mom has never given me anything like that. Never a piece of jewelry or even a single family heirloom. Not even a moment where she has made me feel like I held that kind of special place in her heart. In my mom's and dad's eyes, my brother has always mattered more than me. Over time, all of this built up. The financial support, the emotional favoritism, the way they looked at my brother like he was the golden child, no matter how many mistakes he made. I didn't want to carry around bitterness, but it became harder and harder to ignore. So, I started to pull away from my family slowly and quietly. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay when I constantly felt like an outsider to them. Going low contact with them worked wonders for me. Currently in my life, I'm doing fine. I have a job I love that pays well, too. It's the kind of job that lets me breathe a little easier, that gives me a sense of pride when I wake up in the morning. I'm with an amazing partner who understands me in a way that no one else ever really has. We live a quiet, fulfilling life together, and we even have a dog. And for the first time in a long time, I've been feeling okay since distancing myself from the family. Everything had been peaceful until this week. This week, I saw my brother's face on the local news. He had been arrested for scamming people out of thousands of dollars. Turns out he had been racking up a huge amount of debt, borrowing money under false pretenses, making promises he couldn't keep. And then when people started filing complaints on him, he tried to run away. The police caught him right as he was trying to disappear, and he was arrested on the spot. I was really shocked by this news, as I never thought that after everything, my brother would be dumb enough to commit such a huge crime. Even after seeing the news about my brother's arrest, I didn't bother to reach out to my parents. I was pissed at them because deep down I knew this was the result of years of blind support, years of enabling. They had every opportunity to steer him in a better direction. They had the chance to hold him accountable when things first started going wrong. When the first business failed, when the lies first started, and when the debt first began piling up. But they didn't. They kept backing him, pouring everything they had into his potential while completely ignoring the reality of who he was becoming. They called it love. I called it denial. And now here we are. My brother's behind bars, accused of scamming innocent people out of their money. I'm angry. Angry at my parents for not seeing it sooner. Angry at my parents for choosing him over and over again while I had to build everything from the ground up on my own. Only if they had actually sent him to college to help him get the proper education and training required to run a business. Anyways, I had been reeling with the news of my brother's arrest, and then today my dad called. I hadn't spoken to him in a long time. The moment I picked up, he sounded tired. He acknowledged that we hadn't spoken in a long time and that he had missed me. He asked if I knew what had happened to my brother, and I told him, yeah, I did. I mean, everyone knew by this point. He then asked if he and Mom could come over to my place and talk with me. I told him I was busy, which was true technically, but also I'm just not ready to face my parents. At least not without knowing what they want. But my dad pushed. He said that this conversation was more important than any work I could possibly be doing. That it couldn't wait, that it needed to happen in person. And still, I said no. I told him plainly whatever he had to say, he could say it on the phone. I wasn't going to change my mind. I've had to build a lot of boundaries over the years just to keep myself grounded, just to heal. And this was one of those moments where I knew I had to hold my ground because I'm not the same person I used to be. I deserve peace, and I'm not willing to trade that just because the past suddenly wants to knock on my door. That's when my dad said, I'm very disappointed in you. He continued to tell me that he was disappointed that I hadn't even picked up the phone to check on him and my mother since my brother's arrest. That while he and my mom were going through such a tough time, I remained too self-involved in my own life to care. He then told me I was being cold, that I was shutting out my family during their lowest moment. He asked me if I could just spare some time, just try to be there because at the end of the day, we're still family. That word, family, the way he said it, like it was supposed to automatically erase everything that had happened, all the pain, all the years of being overlooked. He made it sound like I was the one failing them now, like I was being cruel, like I was the one turning my back on them when they needed me the most. I tried again to politely decline. I told him I didn't think I had anything to say that would make this situation better, but he wouldn't let it go. He pushed harder, saying that I was being insensitive by shutting them out completely. That even if I didn't agree with what my brother did, I should still stand by them, united as their family. But honestly, I'm just tired of them. I've watched them coddle and enable my brother for years. I've had to build everything in my life on my own while they kept betting everything on him. Now that it's all come crashing down, I'm supposed to drop everything and comfort them. So, Reddit, Ida for keeping my distance and not reaching out after my brother's arrest? Update 1. Hey everyone, I didn't expect this post to get as much attention as it did, but thank you to everyone who took the time to read it and respond. I wanted to answer a few questions people have been asking either in the comments or via DMs. I am copying and pasting these questions below. Have your parents ever tried to apologize or acknowledge how unfairly they treated you? No, not once. They've never said sorry for not supporting me through college. Never acknowledged the emotional toll it took on me, and definitely never admitted to showing favoritism. Every time I've even tried to bring it up in the past, it was brushed off as me being dramatic or too sensitive. It's like they genuinely don't think they did anything wrong. What exactly did your brother do to get arrested? From what I've gathered from the news and mutual contacts, he was running some kind of fake investment consulting business and promising big returns. He'd get people to give him money with promises of high profits and then ghost them or pay back a tiny fraction to make it seem legit. Eventually, too many people complained, and the authorities stepped in. He apparently had plans to leave the country, but he got caught before he could. Do you think your parents knew what he was doing? Honestly, I don't think they knew the full extent. But I also don't think they asked too many questions. They've always had blind faith in him. Even when things clearly weren't working out, they still believed that one day he'll make it. I wouldn't be surprised if they ignored red flags because they wanted so badly for him to succeed. For years, my parents have gone around telling everyone how successful my brother was going to be. They'd constantly say things like he was the next Jeff Bezos or that he was going to become a millionaire any day now. They talked him up to friends, relatives, neighbors, literally anyone who would listen. They were so proud of him, or at least they thought they had a reason to be. But now I am sure all of that has completely fallen apart. It's like everything they believed about my brother has just crumbled. Honestly, all my parents had to do was look at his bank statements or ask the right questions. If they had even taken a moment to check his financial records, they would have seen that nothing added up. But instead, they chose not to look. They decided to put all their faith in him and take every word he said as truth. No matter how unrealistic or suspicious it might have seemed. It was blind, almost foolish trust. And now they're paying the price for it. Have you been completely no contact with your family? Not officially. It's more like very, very low contact. I'll reply to texts here and there, but I've kept things distant with them for the past few years, mostly just to protect my peace and my partner. The call from my dad was the first real conversation we've had in a while, and it went about exactly how I expected it would. Anyways, thanks again to everyone who commented and shared their thoughts. I'm reading through as many as I can. Update 2. For everyone who pointed out that my parents must be looking for me to bail out my brother, well, you were all right. I finally decided to meet with my parents today. And it was honestly as bad as I expected. They didn't even waste time pretending they weren't hoping for something from me. The first thing they asked, no surprise, was for me to help pay for my brother's legal fees. They said I could easily help since I have a stable job and I'm doing well financially. Keep in mind this is the very same job that Dad had called boring when I had first informed him about it. However, now things have turned, and they want me to help their son with my boring job. They basically want me to pay for his lawyers because apparently they've already invested all their money into him and his failed business and don't have enough left to hire the best lawyers in town. What's even more frustrating is that despite how terribly my brother's business has plummeted, my parents are in complete denial about how bad things really are. Throughout our conversation, they kept insisting that my brother didn't really do anything wrong. They didn't once admit that his whole business plan was a mess and that it was all a huge mistake from the beginning. Instead, they kept defending him, saying things like, well, your brother tried his best, and he had good intentions, but people just couldn't see that. It's like they just can't bring themselves to see the reality that he lied to everyone, including them, and put them in this terrible situation. I am sure if my parents had the money, they would have already bailed him out. They think because I'm his family, I'm just going to swoop in and fix everything. However, I didn't want to do that. I replied, I'm not going to pay for his lawyers, Dad. I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money to bail out a criminal. This is not my responsibility. You guys have helped him out so many times, and look where we are now. My mom, of course, jumped in to plead at this point. But you don't understand. He needs this chance. He can't just stay in prison. We've already invested so much in him, and now we're relying on you. We have even pushed our retirement plans back for 10 years just to support his business. So, can't you even do this one thing for us? Please, you're the only one who can help us now. I scoffed and reminded her that she and Dad had chosen to help him and invest everything in him foolishly while they both left me to deal with my own problems. They never bailed me out. They never invested in me or helped me out financially. My brother got everything, and he still messed up. Yet, I was expected to fix his mistakes. I sighed and said, I'm sorry, but this is where I draw the line. He can find his own way out of this mess. My dad then slammed his hand on the table and snapped. Unbelievable. You're really just going to walk away from your family when we need you most. All this talk about how you've worked hard for your money, but you can't find it in yourself to help your own flesh and blood. My mother also scolded me for refusing to help out my brother. I couldn't believe how quickly my parents had turned on me. I had always been a good child. Got good grades, never got into trouble. Went to college, got a good job, kept quiet when they favored my brother more, and always bit my tongue when they made decisions that hurt me. But now suddenly, I was the one being selfish. I was the one who didn't care about family. My parents even tried to emotionally blackmail me by saying that all our relatives were talking about my brother's arrest, and they were deeply embarrassed to be the center of family gossip. So I needed to help them so they could save some face. At least otherwise, they claimed they'd never be able to show their faces at family gatherings again. My mom even said, everyone is laughing at us, saying we raised a criminal. If you help us get him out, maybe we can at least shut them up. But I stayed firm. I just shook my head at them in disappointment and told them that no matter how much they tried to convince me, I was never going to spend a single penny to help my brother out. I told them that if their reputation meant that much to them, maybe they should have been more cautious with my brother from the beginning and kept an eye out on him. I made it very clear to my parents that I still loved my brother and felt bad for what he was going through, but that didn't mean he didn't deserve to face the consequences of his actions after duping all those people. As my parents started raising their voices to argue again, I calmly raised my hand to stop them and told them that no amount of guilt-tripping or emotional blackmail would work on me anymore. I was done with their manipulations. Completely done. I then turned around and walked out. I could hear my parents cursing at me, but I didn't stop. I didn't look back. Ever since then, I have blocked my parents for my peace of mind. Update 3. It's been 7 months since I last shared an update here, and a lot has happened since then. My brother has been officially sentenced to 6 years in prison. It's a heavy sentence. But after everything he did, I can't say I'm surprised. My parents pulled out all the stops to try and protect him. They took out a loan from friends and family to hire the best lawyers they could find. Lawyers who charged ridiculous amounts just for a single consultation. They truly believed that if they got my brother top legal support, they could somehow convince the court to go easy on him. Maybe even get the charges dropped or reduce the sentence to something minor. But none of it worked. And honestly, I think that's how it should be. My brother spent years lying, scamming, and taking advantage of people who trusted him. He fooled everyone around him and caused a lot of pain. The fact that even the best lawyers couldn't save him says a lot about how serious the situation really was. Deep down, I know this might be the only way he finally learns something. That thought breaks my heart because I never wanted his life to end up like this. He had chances, so many chances, but he threw them all away. I visited my brother recently. I thought maybe being locked up might have humbled him, made him rethink his choices, but no. He sat across from me like nothing had changed. He wasn't even sorry. He kept talking about how things could have gone differently if only he'd managed to flee the country in time. He genuinely believes he could have pulled it off and gotten away with everything. Clearly, he still hasn't learned his lesson.